Okay, here we go. Welcome to Excuse My Frenemy, the podcast where we talk about some of the big topics in sports, and where two fans of rival teams try to put their sports allegiances aside, but will probably fail to do so. Thank you for taking time to give us a listen. I'm Sean Brady, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Katie Cabrera. What's going on, KC?
Hey, what's going on, Shawn? It's good to be back here today. Another great weekend and also another great week of football. So let's jump right into it.
On that note, on this episode, we will discuss the NFL. We'll talk about a particularly big game coming up this weekend, and then we'll close out with the Jon Gruden lawsuit. Let's get going to our first topic, which is the NFL. KC, what would you like to discuss from last week?
There's nothing more I would love to do but to discuss the Niners. The Niners versus the LA Rams, SoCal versus NorCal, the big talk of the big talk. All speculators were hoping that LA Rams were going to take this home, demolish the Niners, but that did not turn out that way. We're looking at a 10-31 final game score with San Francisco leading 4-5 and the LA Rams going to 7-3. All I could say was, wow, because within the 49 seconds, we saw that beautiful interception from Jimmy Ward. 27-yard interception, and he brings it home, all the way home for the Niners, getting that game started for them, leading to a second touchdown between a minute 54 seconds when Garpolo switches over to an 8-yard pass to Kittle, bringing it all the way back home for another touchdown. It was a fair game. It was a very good game for the Niners. Nothing but love and nothing but, of course, the military appreciation day for them. So they really brought this home for NorCal. So I got to say, it was a pretty great game. The second quarter is when LA Rams finally made their first touchdown. And it's not until the fourth quarter that Matt Gay had a 37-yard field goal. So, it was in all, I don't know what happened to the LA Rams. To be honest, I was rooting for the LA Rams because, come on, guys, I'm a SoCal girl coming from, SoCal to NorCal. You're always going to have that love for LA. But the game was great. I got to say, the game was great for the Niners, and they showed who had the ball majority of the time. So it was a good one.
Yeah, this game was a complete shock. It was so shocking that I'm pretty sure everybody in the San Francisco Bay Area that had a brain expected the Niners to lose this game. And so not only the fact that they win, but they dominated. Like, it wasn't even close. This is like the first home win for the Niners in 393 days. That is ridiculous in itself. And I don't know if the Rams just got exposed from the Titans the week before or if the Niners just finally clicked. I don't know what it was. I can't explain it. But all I can say is as a Cardinals fan, I'm glad the Niners won because it keeps us in first place in the division. So thank you. Thank you, San Francisco.
Yeah. And all said, I was even watching the ESPN live news and the pre-games talks, and everybody was like, yeah, it's going to be a good game, especially for the LA Rams. They're going to bring this one home, keeping that competitive with the Cardinals and all. They were like, it's going to be great to see the LA Rams just play their heart outs on the field, but it completely twisted. It was completely opposite to what everybody thought. You didn't expect the Niners to just show off and just be on their defense lines and just make sure they were at the right place at the right time. It was just a perfect one. It was a good game. Gotta say, perfect game.
And it bookended a weekend that was just full of surprises.
Yeah.
On Thursday night, the Dolphins beat the Ravens, again in dominating fashion. Now, nobody saw that coming. The Lions actually didn't lose. They didn't win, but they didn't lose. But they managed to tie the Steelers in a game that nobody apparently wanted to win. The Washington football team all of a sudden looked at Tom Brady and said, we're not impressed, and they spanked him pretty good. And even the Seahawks and Packers game, it was kind of surprising just because of how low scoring it was. I know the Packers ended up with 17 points at the end, but that game was 0-0 at half. There was nobody wanted to score in that game. But what I think happened to the Rams is very similar to something that happened in another surprise with my Cardinals playing the Panthers. I think they got punched in the mouth rather early, and then that long drive that Briscoe had just exhausted their defense to the point to where once it was halftime, it was over because it was too far of a gap to come back. Now, the only real difference is the Niners sustained, I want to say like an 11-minute drive that what resulted in the Rams getting exhausted, whereas the Cardinals, they just turned it over 3 times in the first quarter. It was a different way to get to the same results of an exhausted defense means you're probably not winning the game. So I think that's what happened in both of those games.
Definitely.
So if I'm the Rams, losing to the Titans, okay, Titans are, as we discussed previously, are a pretty good team. But if I'm the Rams, if I'm the Cardinals, if I'm the Seahawks, the Buccaneers, the Steelers, or the Ravens, any one of those teams, this is the week you just burn the tape. You don't even discuss it. You don't even bring it up. Every team's allowed to have a game or two like this. Even the Packers had their game like this week 1. But this is the kind of game where it does happen because it is the NFL. And you just burn the tape and move on and hope to never discuss it ever again.
Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those games where it's just like, WTF, what the hell happened to us? You know what? It is what it is. Don't touch it. It is what it is. Yeah, we'll see you guys at home next time.
Yeah, so that pretty much covers up the week because there weren't very many close games that are worth speaking about. I mean, they just seemed like a week full of blowouts, and the games that were close were just games we weren't really interested in. Like, I was watching Red Zone, and they kept going back to the Lions and Steelers, but it was a game in overtime that nobody wanted to win. Every time the team would get something going, they'd turn it over, or they'd miss a field goal. It was bad football, especially in the overtime period. It was just not good. But I was found myself rooting for the Lions because I hate the Steelers, 1. But 2, just because I don't like to see a team go winless. That's just not fun. I've been a fan of a team that has been so bad they end up getting the number 1 pick. It's just not fun. So I was hoping the Lions get some kind of thing going for them. But they even managed to mess that up and tie somehow.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And, it's just going to be one of those weekends where it was just like, okay, got to see my game, got to see this, a couple surprises here and there, but we're ready to see the next week's game already. So, Shawn, lead us to your next topic.
I was going to say, speaking of next week's games, we're going to our predictions first. I know where you're trying to get me to go. We ain't going there yet, but we're going to do our predictions first. So, going into this week, we got the 5-5 Indianapolis Colts going against the 6-3 Buffalo Bills. Who you got, Casey?
The Colts and the Buffalo Bills. I got to give it to the Colts. I think Colts are going to get this one for a win.
Really?
Yep. This is where, yeah. I just want you guys to remember for next week's episode that I said the Colts, because this is going to be a game that's going to surprise you and have the Colts lead against the Buffaloes.
The Buffaloes. Hold on. So you're telling me the Colts, who've kind of been struggling, been inconsistent, only beating bad teams, losing to good teams, you think they're going to go in there into Buffalo and beat the Bills?
Yeah, just like you heard it, just like how I'm saying it. I think they're going to go to the Buffalo Bills, and I think they're just going to, I don't know, this is just going to be one of those games, one of those hiccups that Buffalo has. So I'm telling you right here, right now, that Colts is going to take this game. For some reason, something's telling me the Colts. Okay, I know they're 5-5 and the Bills are 6-3, but I'm telling you right here, right now, Shawn, Colts is going to take this game.
Well, I guess in that respect, you kind of got nothing to lose, because if the Colts win, you look like a genius, and if they lose, it's kind of like, what were you thinking? Just take that. Like you're fully adopting the burn your tape video from the last week for all the other teams. Like, oh, if the Bills win, just burn that tape. I don't know what I was thinking. That's what you're doing. Okay.
It's not getting any better than this.
Okay, well, hopefully it gets better when we talk about the next game, because the next game is the 7-2 Dallas Cowboys going into Arrowhead to face the 6-4 Kansas City Chiefs. Who you got, Katie?
Oh, Mahomes. I'm going with the Chiefs. I'm going to go with the Chiefs. I think Mahomes has a game plan for this upcoming game, so let's go, Chiefs.
So I am officially off the Chiefs bandwagon. I'm sorry. Like, I know they ended up blowing out the Raiders last week, but that first half, they still didn't look great. And Dallas if the one thing they got going for them this year is they've been kind of an offensive juggernaut, and the Chiefs' big weakness is their defense. So I don't like saying this because I'm not the biggest Cowboys fan because I think they're a very overrated franchise, but give me the Cowboys. I got them winning on the road.
Okay. I can see that.
And speaking of the Raiders in the next game, we got the 5-4 Cincinnati Bengals coming into Vegas to face the said Raiders, who are also 5-4. I know who you're gonna pick, but okay, yeah. Katie, who you got?
Come on, Las Vegas Raiders. They're coming home to their territory. So what more can I say beyond that? I mean, I'm just gonna say plain here and out. It's gonna be on Raiders turf, home game, and they're gonna bring on this game and bring home a win. So I'm going for the Raiders.
Okay, I'm going for the Bengals. I like where this is going. We're being very argumentative this time, which is great. Bengals are coming off a bye, and the week before that, they got embarrassed by the Browns. So they've had 2 weeks to prepare for the Raiders, who are also coming off of getting their doors blown off by the Chiefs. So I think just preparation time is going to be the tipping balance of this game. So give me the Bengals.
All right.
And then our next game, we have the 5-3-1 Pittsburgh Steelers going into LA to face the 5-4 Chargers. You probably know where I'm going, but Casey, where are you going?
You come on, Shawn. I'm pretty sure the audience knows where I'm going with this. Anybody who knows, I am a diehard Los Angeles girl, SoCal girl, so I'm gonna go with the LA Chargers. I mean, if I had to rank, of course, it's no matter what, I'm always gonna have my homes back. So LA Chargers will take this win.
Man, I was hoping you say the Steelers so we could disagree, but yeah, I'm not taking the Steelers, especially on the road against a team that is led by my future Hall of Famer, Justin Herbert. Yes, I'm calling it now. I don't care if he's only in season 2. He's going to go to the Hall of Fame. So I got the Chargers, too. That's it for our predictions so far. And people may be wondering, well, why did they only do 4 teams? They usually do 5. Because there's a 5th game, but that game is so important that we have decided to give it our own segment. So let's move on to that. So the game that we're about to talk about is pretty much getting its own segment, mainly because this game is the reason this podcast exists.
Skirt, skirt.
In the words of my friend Katie Cabrera, this is the game that we live for.
Yes.
Oh my word. On Monday, there's either going to be silence or there's going to be a lot of sugar, honey, iced tea talking. But either way, this is the game. And the
Ladies
game,
and gentlemen, if he's not pointing it off, pretty much he's saying, if you don't find one of us on this podcast, it's because something just went down. So,
yeah, I can tell you right now, next week's show is probably going to be hosted solo by somebody, but we don't know who it's going to be hosted by because the other person's not going to talk. But anyway, the game that we're clearly talking about is my beloved 8-2 Arizona Cardinals going into Seattle to face your beloved 3-6 Seattle Seahawks.
Oh,
we're not doing the prediction yet, even though I think everybody knows where we're going.
Yeah.
But, yeah, here it comes, Katie. I will be nice, and I will let you go ahead and make your valid points first, and then I will tell you how exactly wrong you are. Go ahead.
I mean, so we had this past week where Seahawks played against the Green Bay Packers. I mean, yeah, it wasn't your best thing. We had Russell Wilson back in the field playing again after his injury and his sprain surgery that he had on his finger. But I mean, I cannot hate them. You know, I'm gonna be rooting for them throughout the whole time. I think their defensive line was up there this time against the Green Bay Packers, give or take about the score. I get it. But, you know, there's a lot of work to be done, especially after this season for Seahawks. But for some reason, no matter what, I strongly believe the Seattle Seahawks are going to be a fighting bird against your Cardinals. It's just going to come down to that point where the Seahawks are going to be like, you know what? Let's put these Cardinals to shame. I'm not going to lie to you. I thought it could have been worse. The 0-17 against Green Bay Packers, against Aaron Rodgers, and especially with Russell Wilson coming off and back to the field. I mean, I think it was a good warm up game for him, and he's studying and he's seeing what he has to work on with his team to get that rhythm flowing again. So I think for the Cardinals game, I think it's going to be a great game. I think it's going to be a close game. Yes, I do. But I think it's going to be one of those LA Rams versus the Niners game.
Oh, so you think the team that's lower in the standings is going to come up and surprise and dominate the team that's higher in the standings? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to tell you.
Good, because now I get to tell you how wrong you are. Here we go. So I'm just going to hit you with some stats, all right? I know I'm not going to change your mind, but this is probably the one week where I'm willing to rub salt in the wounds. Do you know that the Seattle Seahawks are 3 games under 500 for the first time in the Russell Wilson era?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you know that the Seahawks are 1-4 in their last 5 games?
Yes.
Cool. And do you know that Kyler Murray, granted he was a limited participant in practice, but he practiced today?
Yeah. I'm not surprised. Yes.
Okay. So where's our disadvantage? As Loki says in Avengers, where's my disadvantage? Oh, it's in Seattle? Whoop-de-doo.
All I'm going to say is it's kind of like Thor. If we're going to bring out the Marvel Avengers, it's kind of like Thor when he gets fat and he just, isn't in it anymore, but he kind of finds that ignition out of nowhere and he's like, let there be blood. And he goes all for everybody, all hell on loose. Exactly what's going to happen with the Seahawks. That is exactly what's going to happen. I believe that the Seahawks are just going to be like, you know what? This is what we need to do against the Cardinals, and this is how we're going to get that one for our team.
Yeah, okay.
As much as it.
So continue with the Marvel theme. If you guys are going to be Thor, I'm just going to retort with a simple line. We have a Hulk, and his name is Kyler Murray. And even if he doesn't play, Green Bay showed us how to beat you. Just run the ball down your throat and play solid defense. Now, I admit I'm mainly this confident because I do not believe Russell Wilson is 100% healed from the finger injury. I think he's back just to save the season. Like, if they were 500, I didn't think he would have played last week. So I don't think he's fully ready to be back. And I also think we're going to be more willing to roll the dice with Kyler Murray. But now, granted, I don't expect a lot of quarterback runs out of Kyler Murray, but I do expect him to go ahead and play. Because, guess who we play next week?
The Cardinals?
Yes. The answer is nobody. It's our bye week next week. So, as long as we play it safe with Kyler Murray, we could get out there, get a nice little win, and then get a bye week as we prep for our next opponent. So, and to be blunt, I don't think we can save our bullets anymore after what the Panthers did to us. I think we gotta remedy that. They gotta get that taste out of our mouth quick, fast, and in a hurry.
What do you mean?
What do you mean, what do I mean?
Sorry. I am so sorry to the audience and to Shawn. I'm just kind of like reading up on a little bit of the Cardinals and Murray's injury. But I mean, even though he was back at practice and everything, at the end of the day, I mean, from what it looks like, he was limited to his practice on how much he was able to do.
Yes, he was. But you know how much he's practiced up till today? None. So limited in practice is better than not participating in practice.
You know what?
And Colt McCoy is also like limited in practice and kind of hurt. So it's not like we could just rely on Colt McCoy because he may be in the same way. So I would take 50% healthy Kyler Murray over about 80% Colt McCoy any day of the week, especially with a division opponent on the road.
All right. You know what? I'm going to tell you straight up and simple. We're going to see what happens to the game because this is a game that I'm telling you guys, it's either going to make it or break it for one of us. And the moment that you see me all happy and cheerful like this, you're going to know why.
All I know is if the Seahawks have never been 3 games under 500, I can't imagine what they're going to do when they find out they're 4 games under 500. But anyway. So, and the worst part is we're talking all this mess. Watch, they'll end up tying. That's just the way it'll work.
Just our kind of like how can I say this? It's just our luck.
It would
Uh,
be. Yeah.
and this is just one of those games where we're just gonna have to find out what happens when the time comes. So either one of us is gonna be happy or cheerful, or you're gonna see just both of us because our both likes are just the same. That we're just gonna be like, it was a tie.
Okay. So let's go ahead and let's put a nice little bow on this, and let's go ahead and get our predictions. Now, I do realize that everybody knows who we're going to predict. I get that. I'm going to twist it up on you, though. I want a score prediction.
Do you really want to do that? Because the last times we had score predictions and all this, I mean, I kind of pretty much come out winning.
Which time was that? I don't recall you winning on a score prediction.
Yeah, we did. I think we did it for the Canelo and Plant fight. Remember?
No, we predicted who would win. We didn't predict a score.
There's another game. There's another
We
one.
did the World Series.
Yes,
But if that's what you're referring to, I was right. Because you had the Braves at 5, I had the Braves in 6, and the Braves won in 6. Who had that? This guy.
So here, this is all I'm going to say, is that I believe that the score is going to be around maybe 21-24 or 21-28, one or the other.
Okay. All right. I don't even think it's going to be all that close. I think we should win by a couple touchdowns. So I will have a small little caveat. If Kyler Murray plays, I think it's going to be 34-17. If Kyler Murray doesn't play, I'd say 28-17. But either way, I see it being a 2-score game.
Okay. All right. We shall see.
Yeah, so as a Cardinals fan, I realize that there's not very many times I get to be so braggadocious, so I'm piling on as much as I can. And if the Seahawks win, I have a lot of crow to eat. But if the Cardinals win, I probably still won't talk as much as I probably should because, yeah, I'll be scared at that point.
Okay.
All right, KC. We'll see what happens on Sunday. May the best team win, which will probably be the Cardinals. But let's go ahead and move on to our last topic.
All right.
All right, our final topic is still in the realm of NFL, but it is the Jon Gruden lawsuit. The former Las Vegas Raider coach is apparently suing the NFL and Commissioner Roger Goodell, basically because his emails were leaked and he feels that they individually released his emails just to get the Raiders to fire him. I could read a long list of things him and his attorney said, but the short version is he's saying he was singled out. So I have some thoughts on it, Katie, but what are your thoughts on it? Because I know you're the big Raiders fan. So what are your thoughts?
I wouldn't necessarily say big Raiders fan, but I would definitely say that I'm more of a person that will root for them. They have a good team going on this year, but I mean, of course, I'm gonna just like we spoke about it last week. I think the whole Gruden lawsuit was something that they needed to take a little bit more further step into and have more repercussion into it. You're gonna have a team that's uncomfortable with their coach, and you're gonna also have there's just all these things pointing out back to Gruden. It's going back from emails, going back to the things he would say to his team, the things that he would say to his to players and stuff. And I mean, how is somebody going to be in that environment and be able to play, with a head straight on? Like, my coach is behind me. My coach is standing with me. He's all supportive about me when he's telling you all these negative comments that you don't want to hear, and not only that, but then you kind of start hearing off about the rumors about these emails. And then it goes back to and ties in with your stuff where he's telling you. So it's about time. It was about time that he needed to be kicked out. So
yeah, I mean, I mostly agree with you. Kind of like if his lawsuit is primarily based on wrongful termination, I don't think he's got a foot to stand on because there's no way as a private organization that is as in the media as a football team, there's no way the leader of your football team could have this in their background and you keep them out there as the face of the franchise. However, I kind of want him to win. And let me explain why. because when this story first came out, when they said, oh, his emails, remember, they looked at 650,000 emails, and Jon Gruden's was the only ones released. What's the first thing both you and I said? There's no way he's the only one.
No, and he's not.
And I think that's what his lawsuit is saying, is like, I was singled out. I was fired by undue or improper influence from the NFL on my team to fire me because my emails were the only ones that were leaked. And in that regard, I think he's right. And I want him to win because the judicial system will probably force the NFL to show their hand and prove that Gruden was the only one. And that's what everybody from day one has wanted. They've wanted to see what the NFL has, because it doesn't make sense that he's the only one out of 650,000 emails that had language to that effect or something derogatory like that. And the NFL is pretty powerful, but by and large, the court system is probably more powerful, to where they're probably going to look at the NFL and say, prove it. And that's going to eventually be public record, I would assume. So we are actually going to get what we want thanks to Jon Gruden, which is a weird thing to say because the way we got here is terrible. But by him putting this lawsuit into place, we may get what we want.
Right. And I completely agree with you. I mean, this is something that's going to open to many more investigations that are set to come forth. So, I mean, at the end of the day, this is going to be something really that the NFL is going to have to dig a little deeper at, because at the end of the day, he's not wrong. He's not wrong that he's being singled out. But at the same time, this is to show the world, like, if this is one of many coaches talking like this, imagine how many if we were to dig into their emails. So
right. And to be fair, he may be the only coach, but I really find it hard to believe that he's the only person. Like, I imagine the reason we only heard about Gruden is because a lot of the other people that are having the same kind of thought patterns and language is because they're probably higher level individuals like executives or general managers or maybe even team owners. Because remember, this all started as an investigation into the Washington football team over like Dan Snyder and that climate that had been established. So he may be the only coach, but I don't think he's the only one. Yeah,
no, most definitely. So I mean, it's trial, and it's more news to come for this, and I'm hoping that this exposes more of the toxic that's within the NFL, and it starts to bring them out, and it starts to bring them into the spotlight and put them into shame and put them away for good. So hopefully this is a step towards that and not a step back on just singling a person out.
Yeah, my only fear is that if they do show their hand and it comes to light that he's not the only one, what would still end up happening to those other individuals, because they are the owners of their franchises or other high-ranking officials in the league. So maybe one of those things of, okay, yeah, you proved it, but yeah, here's a fine, or here's something like that. And I honestly, that'll just piss people off even more. So I want to see it, but at the same time, I'm afraid that even after we see it, nothing is going to be done.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, folks, that is our episode for this week. Short, sweet. Hopefully we'll have a longer one next week. No, I shouldn't say that. People don't want to hear more from us. But anyway, so...
But I mean, they're definitely going to be hearing a lot of talk about that big game coming up. So
from one person, because if the Cardinals lose, you're hosting this by yourself next week. So, like I said, that's our episode. I hope you guys liked it. If people want more of you, Casey, where can they find you?
You guys can always find me on Twitter on KitKat17287. Shawn, where can they find you?
They could find me on Twitter at Shawn_Brady82, SHAWN_BR80Y82. And they could also find us on Twitter at Excuse My Frenemy.
On Twitter. And then also, guys, just let us know what you guys want to hear for next time. Want to know new topics. I definitely want to hear what you guys have to say and what you guys want from for future episodes. So please bring on the comments, give us a little sweet talk so that way we could have something to discuss for next week too. So stay tuned. That is all.
Okay, with that, I would say I'll see you next week, Kesey, but the jury's still out on that. But
Yeah.
if the Cardinals win, I'll see you next week. Cardinals lose, I'll see you in 2 weeks. But okay, I'll talk to you. I'll talk to you then, and go Cardinals.
Let's go Seahawks.